Now, my friends, for some reason, I don't know the reason, but for some reason, lately I've been getting all these requests of how to cook pork belly really well. It must be the time of the year. I suppose it's got to do with the COVID virus. People are sitting at home rather than going out to those wonderful Asian restaurants who all seem to be able to cook pork belly brilliantly. But I have never been the greatest, you know, I've sort of just shoved it in the oven and turned it on. Admittedly, I've scored this skin in a couple of things, I've done it. But it's never been my absolute mastery of this that sort of got me all excited. But I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to do it on television, I better do it well for you, because otherwise you'll send me all these emails saying, Huey, what are you doing? Anyway, to cut a long story short, I reckon the best pork belly I ever had was at a restaurant called Wok Paul. Now, that's not Rock Paul, Wok. And it was owned by Neil Perry, who's a terrific chef, as we know. And if I remember rightly, we're talking about a long time ago now, the chef in those days was Kylie Kwong. Now, Kylie Kwong is a star, we know that. Anyway, so I thought to myself, I'll go and have a look at the books and see how they do it, because their pork belly was always absolutely bloody beautiful. So, here we go. Not my recipe. Well, of course, I can never leave things alone, so I've mucked around with it a bit. But the main things about it come from Wok Paul. First of all, you need a tray with a rack inside. Now, the rack is so that if anything weeps out of the pork belly, you don't end up with your pork belly sitting in it. So that's my tray with that. And I've got a kilo piece of pork belly. Now, it's just a straight kilo. The bones are off. I always ask for the bones because I throw those in the oven just with some salt and pepper and a little bit of oil. Of course, a ripper, you know, just cooked high heat. Anyway, but that's not what we're doing here. So I've got a piece of boneless pork belly with the skin on, not scored. So you must say to your butcher, I don't want it scored. And what I do with that is I then put it in the fridge for at least 24 hours. Now that dries out the skin, it'll make it extra crispy. So that's all we've got to do so far. So I'll be back tomorrow. I'll change my shirt. I'll be back tomorrow and we'll then continue with this beautiful pork belly. And by the way, I did try it out for you because I'm a bit guilty of sometimes not trying things out. First, I do them on television. I did try this one out and it was absolutely beautiful. Now, just a couple of things that I forgot to mention yesterday with my pork belly. You take it out of the fridge 3 hours before you cook it. Leave it just on the tray because you're trying to dry out the skin. So then you score it quite well. I've started to score it with a sharp knife. Now, if you don't have a sharp knife, what you can use is a Stanley knife. You know those carpet knives? They work really well. Now, I want to score it reasonably deeply. And then we rub it generously with salt and it goes into the oven. Now the oven, 220 degrees for 20 minutes, and then we turn it down to 170 for another 20 minutes, right? 220, 20 minutes, 170, 20 minutes. So just straight in like that. So I'm going to make a salad dressing. I'm going to do a nice Thai salad to go with that pork belly, but 4 chilies. You can take the seeds out if you don't want it too hot, but you want a bit of guts to it, don't you? And I've also got 4 plump cloves of garlic, which is going to go in as well. Now, I've made this salad dressing for you before, I think, on the show. It's one of my favourites, just because it's got a bit of a kick to it. But it's got that lovely sort of Thai balance, you know, the sweet, the sour, the salty, and the spicy. Some palm sugar, a couple of tablespoons of that. Some fresh lime, I've got 4 here. So this is obviously the tartness. We've got the heat with the chilies. As I said, the Thai food has always got that sweet, sour, salty, hot balance. 4 tablespoons of fish sauce, which is the salty balance. We've also got some rice wine vinegar, which is also the acid. 4 tablespoons of veggie oil. So let's just whisk that up. Let's have a taste. That'll make a nice salad. Now I reckon we're looking good. Let's just pull it out. And just like that, no big deal. Back in 20 minutes. All right, let's have a look and see how our pork's gone. It's been in there for 20 minutes. Ooh, guys, it smells good. I am always very keen on pork, and I love pork belly. So let's have a bit of a look. Oh, can you hear that? Now that sounds good, doesn't it? That's my bit there. Now you could just cut it into pieces if you like, and maybe just serve it with some hoisin sauce like lots of the Chinese restaurants do. Now I've made a salad. Oh, Iain, I'm pleased with myself there. So the salad's got some wonga bok, some nice fresh herbs, and when I say fresh herbs, coriander and mint. Sorry, I'm still eating, I'm very rude. My mother would get very upset with me. And there's some red onion, some peanuts, carrot, all those nice things. And of course, the star of the show, that wonderful pork. All right, that looks good, doesn't it, guys? If you're allergic to peanuts, of course you can leave them out. Now, to go with that, I have got an interesting new variety, which is called Fiano. Now, Mr. Prentice is not very keen on new varieties, and he said it'd suit me because I've obviously turned into a trendy wanker. I actually think it goes really nicely with it. He's a nasty man, isn't he? I think that's a perfect match myself for a trendy wanker. Anyway, thank you for all those emails about the pork. I should have done it ages ago, and that is a beautiful way to cook the pork. It takes a bit of time, I know that, but it does come out tender, good, crackling, crispy, and with that salad, it's just magic. Guys, to show your support for my channel and to keep in the loop, subscribe. It's easy to do, and don't forget, it's free. Okay, cheers.